Good morning, students. I am here with the lesson The Beggar. I hope you all have completed the assignments sent last week. This week, you will complete this lesson, The Beggar. It's a very moving story by Anton Chekhov. Anton Chekhov is a Russian writer and he is famous for his short story writing. His famous story, The Beggar, is a very moving story about the miserable condition of Lashkov. Lashkov is a beggar here. How he met Sergei, the famous advocate, and how Sergei helped him to come out of his miserable condition and lead a respectable life. The story tells about this only here. Okay, here Sergei inspired him to work, but Lashkov is not at all interested in menial work. But somehow he accepts it reluctantly and he starts doing work. But in the end, what happened or what was discovered? In the end, it was discovered that the real benefactor was not Lashkov, but the cook Olga. The Olga, who is ill-tempered lady. So this story tells you the inspiration of a kind-hearted man who happened to be an advocate, Sergei. Let us start the chapter. Kind sir, have pity, turn your attention to a poor, hungry man. For 3 days I have had nothing to eat. I haven't 5 kopecks for a lodging. I swear it before God. For 8 years I was a village school teacher and then I lost my place through intrigues. I fell a victim to calumny. It is a year now since I have had anything to do. When he met Sergei, he narrated his miserable condition. He said that have pity on me. I have been a victim to calumny. I have been defamed. I worked as a school teacher for 8 years. But I could not survive there. I could not stay there because I was defamed. And since many days I have had nothing to eat. So I am leading the life of a beggar. The advocate, Sergei, looked at the ragged, fawn-colored overcoat of the suppliant, at his dull, drunken eyes, at the red spot on either cheek, and it seemed to him as if he had seen this man somewhere before. When the advocate Sergei looked at him, he was confirmed that he met him somewhere. He scanned him nicely. He looked at his face, he looked at his clothes, and he remembered that somewhere he met this man. I have now had an offer of a position in the province of Kaluga, the mendicant went on. The beggar continued with his sad saga. He said that he had an offer of a position in the province of Kaluga. He got an offer to work in the province of Kaluga, but I haven't the money to get there. Help me kindly. I am ashamed to ask, but I am obliged to by circumstances. He wanted help from the advocate. He wanted help for his survival. So he asked for that, though he was ashamed. Sergei's eyes fell on the man's overshoes, one of which was high and the other low, and he suddenly remembered something. Sergei kept on looking at him. He gazed at him and he found that one of his shoes was big and the other was small. Look here, it seems to me I met you the day before yesterday in Sadovia Street, he said. Suddenly he remembered that he met this man somewhere, and he remembered the place, and he said he met him in Sadovia Street. But you told me then that you were a student who had been expelled and not a village school teacher. Do you remember? Sergei asked him that you met me and said that you were a student, not a school teacher. Do you remember that? No, that can't be so, mumbled the beggar. The beggar was taken aback. He was shocked that he was recognized. I am a village school teacher, and if you like, I can show you my papers. He wanted to make him sure that he was a school teacher. Have you done with lying? You called yourself a student and even told me what you had been expelled for. Don't you remember? Sergei again asked him in a very bold voice that you were lying. Sergei flushed and turned from ragged creature with an expression of disgust. It was very disgusting for Sergei to stay with him. So he just went away from there. This is dishonesty, my dear. This is dishonesty, my dear sir, he cried angrily. This is swindling. I shall send the police for you. Damn you. Sergei said that you are cheating and you will be sent to the police. Sir, he said, laying his hand on his heart, the fact is I was lying. I am neither a student nor a school teacher. All that was fiction. So immediately he accepted, he confessed that he was neither a school teacher nor a student. Formerly, I sang in a Russian choir and was sent away for drunkenness. Now he narrated a different story. He said that he was a Russian, he sang in a Russian choir. He was a singer and he was sent away because he was addicted to drinking. But what else can I do? I can't get along without lying. No one will give me anything when I tell the truth. What can I do? He expressed his helplessness, that what could he do? Because nobody would believe him. So he had to lie. What can you do? You ask what you can do? Cried Sergei, coming close to him. Work. That's what you can do. You must work. Sergei insisted on him to work. Believe you will come out of this miserable condition if you work hard. We all know work is worship. Work, yes, I know that myself. But where can I find work? Who would give me work? How would you like to chop wood for me? Sergei asked him. Would you like to chop wood for me? I wouldn't refuse to do that, but in these days, even skilled woodcutters find themselves sitting without bread. So he had another excuse when he was given a job for wood cutting. What he said, that the skilled woodcutters were sitting idle and they were not earning. So how could I get the job? Will you come and chop wood for me? Yes, sir, I will. Very well. We'll soon find out. Sergei hastened along, rubbing his hands. He called his cook out of the kitchen. Here, Olga, he said, take this gentleman into the woodshed and let him chop wood. Sergei called his cook, Olga, and asked her to give him the work of wood cutting. The scarecrow of a beggar shrugged his shoulders as if in perplexity and went irresolutely after the cook. He was not in a mood to move out from there or do any menial work. I told you in the beginning, he was not interested in doing any hard work or menial work. But reluctantly he went along with Olga. It was obvious from his gait that he had not consented to go and chop wood because he was hungry and wanted work, but simply from pride and shame and because he had been trapped by his own words. He was not at all interested to do any work, but he was trapped by his own words. So Sergei caught him telling or speaking lies and then offered him to work. It was obvious too that his strength had been undermined by vodka and that he was unhealthy and did not feel the slightest inclination for toil. This is also the fact that alcohol generally takes the positive thinking away from a person. Okay, so one should not be addicted to alcohol. This is what happened with Lashkov, who was not at all interested in doing any work, and this was because of addiction to alcohol. Sergei hurried into the dining room. From its windows, one could see the woodshed and everything that went on in the yard. Standing at the window, Sergei saw the cook and the beggar come out into the yard by the back door and make their way across the dirty snow to the shed. Now Sergei was watching what he was doing in the woodshed, and he found that he, along with Olga, doing some work. Okay, Olga glared wrathfully at her companion, shoved him aside with her elbow, unlocked the shed, and angrily banged the door. Olga got angry. Why? Because she did not find him hardworking. She found the laxity in his attitude. He was lazy. He did not like to chop the wood. So she became angry and she banged the door. Angrily she banged the door. Okay. Next, he saw the pseudo teacher seat himself on a log and become lost in thought with his red cheeks resting on his fists. Next was the sight of this beggar, this fake teacher sitting on a log and imagining, lost in his thoughts. The woman flung down an axe at his feet, spat angrily, and judging from the expression of her lips, began to scold him. Olga offered him to chop the wood, gave him the axe, but she became angry because she did not find him interested in doing that work. The beggar irresolutely pulled a billet of wood towards him, set it up between his feet, and tapped it feebly with the axe. He took a billet of wood and set up that in between his feet and just in a weak manner hit that wood with the axe. So do you think the wood can be chopped in this way until unless full strength is applied on it? The beggar again pulled it to him. What happened when he feebly hit the billet? The billet wavered and fell down. The billet did not stay there and it fell down. The beggar again pulled it to him, blew on his freezing hands and tapped it with his axe cautiously, as if afraid of hitting his overshoe or of cutting off his finger. The stick of wood again fell to the ground. It's not an easy task, It appears to be easy to chop the wood, but it's not so easy. It requires proper strength, it requires balance in keeping the billet of wood in between the feet. Okay, so this beggar failed to do so. He could not chop that wood in one blow. So he kept on trying. Okay. Now in the second video, you will come to know the rest of the story.